Do your job effectively, passionately, but try not to be too perfect.
because I don't have any experience at all when I started working as a VA. I had a hard time doing some appointments for the client. Maybe 2 to 3 weeks, I struggled doing some appointments. So what I did was I've searched some videos online on how to make some calls, how to be a better appointment setter, how to be a better virtual assistant. From time to time, I learned the skill and I learned a lot from watching some videos online. And from there, luckily, after a month or so, I've learned how to deal with those challenges. Because when you're talking to different kinds of people on the phone, there are a lot of objections. I can assure you, you can do the job that the client is looking for.
Not being consistent is the thing that I think most of us struggle, because sometimes it's hard. You have to meet your clients' expectations all the time. And sometimes it can be tiring. It's our job not to lower the expectations, or it's our job to keep everything going because we have to help their business, to help our families.
I'm pretty much like a perfectionist. I also know a lot of people like that. I think one advice I can give to like the virtual assistants of the future is, which is also my weakness, is try not to be too perfect, because it's also going to be your downfall. Sometimes you stumble and fall here and there, which is okay. But if you try to push yourself too much to a point that you don't really have to, that you just bring yourself down at the same time. Because of that, you're not gonna get anywhere, to be honest. You're just gonna get yourself stuck in that until you find better ways. So try not to be too perfect. Do your job effectively, passionately, but try not to be too perfect.
The biggest deal was, of course, working in a graveyard shift. But because I've been like this for a very long time, it didn't really affect me that much. But there are times that, because you couldn't sleep sometimes because of the weather. It's really hot. So sometimes your mood affected you. And when you started making calls and the client or the seller shout at you, because you're cold calling, sometimes they're going to shout, they're going to curse at you. Sometimes, you feel it. And you cannot say anything bad to them because you're just calling, you're disturbing them. So you have to take it in. So sometimes you have to emotionally prepare yourself. And that's the challenge for me, because it's very hard, especially when my mood is really, really bad, really heavy, but you have to still make yourself smiling while making calls. And then all of a sudden you're gonna hear these curses, and like they're trying to, sometimes you can hear them say, oh, get a real job. I was like, okay, this is already my real job. What are you saying? But you cannot say that, so that's the challenge. Well, professionally, you just have to make sure that you don't vent or you don't say anything during those times. Just accept it and move forward, go to the next person.
I'm not a techie person. That's really given me a challenge, because you need to struggle first before your laptop will be fixed. And you need to find people that can help you. And it's hard because you will pay more of that. It costs high when you let people fix your laptop or anything. And one more thing that challenged me is you are alone all the time. You need to be more resourceful. It's hard when you don't know everything and you can ask no one. It's really hard when you ask someone and then she's not here personally. When you're on personal, she can teach you everything personally. But when you're just chatting, it's different. You will struggle a lot when you started freelancing. Even now that I'm working more than 2 years, it's still hard sometimes that you need to fix this or what, and you don't know how to do it alone. It's hard, but you need to be more resourceful. You need to have confidence that you can do it. You need to have patience also, because it will not take just right away. It will take time to know it. When you're not prepared to do this and then it comes right away, it's hard, but you need to be more stronger every day. You need to have confidence in yourself. You need to have more patience.
At first, I'm not familiar how this app work, how this Google work. But then I try actually to do some researching, and then that is where I started to actually know more of the skills. So I actually do some researching and cope up with this, and here I'm now master on it.
I'm having a hard time sometimes, especially when the exams and the deadlines for my clients intersected. Time management is really a must if you are handling multiple clients and also being a student in a university. So what I do is that I track down my schedule as a student, and I also track down the tasks that I need to accomplish for my clients. Actually, before when I started on my first months, I work from on my time zone, which is GMT plus 08. I work from 8 p.m. to 3 a.m. And then it moved to 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. So that is something tiresome since my class starts at 7 a.m. So I am only left with 1 hour interval for me to either rest, eat breakfast, or sleep. I openly talked with my client and said that I'm still studying, but I would really want to stay as her VA, and she agreed as much as I do the works that she needs.
Time management, doing everything, household chores, being a wife, doing the things I love to do, and then working. But then if you have the system, it's really not that difficult, but still challenging.
My biggest challenge as a VA is consuming a lot of time on one project. Like being a perfectionist, I want to complete the project like perfect, and it is time consuming. Sometimes my client is upset because I did not meet the deadline. I handled it professionally, and I said to my clients like, this is what I have done, and I apologize for them, but I make up for the time that I lost for the client.
So far, the competition really is my biggest challenge. But now that I had my experience, I know my experience is small yet compared to the others. My coworker has 5 years experience already, so it's relatively small compared with mine. But I think it's just okay because you still have to grow as a person. And aside from that, I think my biggest challenge for today was like not knowing where to go if you're looking for help, because you don't have a colleague sitting beside you. You don't have someone to ask to for help unless they're online, because it's an online setup. Somehow it improves my researching skills, so Google is my best friend.
I think my biggest challenge is having really fast internet, because I live in a country where our internet is really not at its best. Even at its best, it's not at its best. So I think the struggle really is to find a good internet service provider that will give you the speed you need to be able to carry out the tasks that your employer wants you to do.
My biggest challenge was starting, pretty much, because it's more of a familiarity thing, especially the client that I got are real estate investors. So it's pretty much new land for me. I'm pretty much new blood in the industry. And I think, yeah, the main challenge was getting familiar with it, because every time I do my work, even back then, even when I was in uni, I wasn't a guy or wasn't someone who just knows things by memorizing it. I like understanding things and how everything functions. And real estate for me, again, I started doing this. I'm 23 years old. My mind is no longer fit to learn new things on the go, or at the snap of a finger, rather. So I think starting was pretty much the most difficult thing for me, especially since I'm cold calling as well. Like I would ask people, or I would ask leads on what would get them to sell their houses and how to keep the conversation natural as is. And I think that was pretty much the greatest challenge for me?
First would be setting up my online presence. What I meant by that is crafting my resume, my cover letter, basically my online persona. It all boils down to setting up your online presence, getting to attract more employers to choose you as their worker. Next challenge would be getting familiar with systems, applications, and other web platforms you are not used to. There were times where there are tasks assigned to me that I don't know how to do it or how to use a website or what application or tools I need to use to achieve that task. I basically just go online and find or research the things I need to know. Lastly would be since I work online and most of my employers are based on abroad, there's a time gap or time zone difference. The challenge I have encountered would be matching my body clock to the time zone of my employer. So I basically had to match my time to their time. So I work at 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. Philippine time. So that would be from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Canada time or Toronto time. So basically, after I work, I usually just sleep or rest. Sometimes after I work or after my duty, I don't really get to rest or sleep. And then, to be honest, I would say that ruined my body clock.
I experienced worse in a corporate, so I'm not very discouraged to be a VA or not motivated to be a VA. In fact, I'm still looking for a lot of ways to learn. Sometimes I have a task for a month where I need to do the same thing at the same thing, same day, same time. Next month it could be different, So it's something I look forward to when I learn new things. Sometimes also when you learn new things, it's very ironic because sometimes when I learn new things, I get discouraged a little bit because I'm learning something totally new and it's overwhelming my head, overwhelming my mind. But at the end, when I got it, boom, I'm an expert.
I think the biggest challenge would be staying comfortable with what I do. I mean, yes, of course, it is a good thing to be comfortable with the work that you do. But sometimes if you get too comfortable, it becomes your comfort zone, basically, and you're hesitant to grow, to learn new things or to try new things. What I'm trying to say is, with the work that I do right now, I'm very comfortable with it already, working as a maintenance coordinator for 3 years for 2 different clients. So I know the job well. It's very easy for me to do now. And the thought of getting a new client or getting promoted and being challenged with new tasks becomes scary for me because I don't know if I could deliver, or if I get a new client and the business is different, I don't know if I could take the task head on. So for me personally, I think that's one of the scariest things. I find it difficult to challenge myself already because I feel comfortable with what I do. I get good pay, so I don't see a reason for me to basically grow, which is not good, I think. I like to learn new things. I don't want to stay stagnant, but also I get scared of doing new things. So it's a difficult situation that I'm in.
I think this one's the biggest challenge, but also the challenge that you really want to conquer. It's when you don't know the software yet or the task yet. You don't know how to do it, how to complete it, but then you take the challenge. And then it was really great, perfect feeling whenever you finish it. So I think that's one thing that happened to me a few times already, because even if you are a VA for 1 year or 2 years now, it's the reality that you don't know everything. So you need to keep on learning. That's what I'm telling my friends. So really you need to learn, keep on learning, be consistent in learning, because as the technology grows or as it moves, you also have to, right? Most especially now that we are working in a virtual setup.
Biggest challenge for a VA usually is like just getting clients on a regular basis, especially if you're like a freelance VA, which was what happened when I was early on in my experience, and it was very difficult to get like clients who would like trust you, and how would I present myself with them better, and for them to trust me as well to do the tasks at hand. And right now I'm very much grateful that I have a full-time job now, so I don't need to constantly have other clients on the side.
Working in the graveyard shift is really a tough one because the time schedule, it didn't match our body clock. So it's a hard thing to do.
Actually, until now, since I am using my personal account to do my job, and my clients are actually in the US, I don't use VPN. So most of the time, like twice this month, actually, my Facebook account has been disabled by Facebook. And then sometimes my Facebook account is restricted to send messages, and that's my job, to send messages to people, and I have been restricted by Facebook twice this month, and this will actually take about 5 to 7 days before they lift you from restriction, before they turn on your Facebook account again. So those are actually the experiences that I would say a challenging one.
I think the most challenging part as a VA is when there's an interruption. So here in the Philippines, there are sometimes brownouts that you can't avoid. So those brownouts sometimes is, since it's unavoidable and VAs cannot afford to buy, of course, a generator at home. So what we do sometimes is, like me, I go to my mother's house. If there's a power at their area, then I can, of course, my units are portable. I can bring my computer and then I can stay with them for a while. I can have the internet and I can use the power, of course. There are some difficulties also in dealing with clients, especially if I have more than one clients handling. So I experience handling about 3 clients in one shift. So it's due to the lack of manpower that time. I think the company wasn't able yet to hire additional people, so we were assigned to 3 clients. So that's the one of the challenge. It's hard to cater 3 clients at a time. I have to deal with them fairly.
It's on the time I have as a virtual assistant, because in the Philippines we need to work 8 hours a day, and as a part-time virtual assistant I just work it from at night. I think that would be a bad habit for me because I don't have time to sleep. I don't have time to take a rest, because after I work for 8 hours as a teacher, at night I need to work as a virtual assistant. But I think it's a great opportunity because I have the chance to help my family and meet other people as well.
I think my biggest challenge being a VA at first was finding clients, because since I mentioned that I don't have any experience at first and I was still learning that time via YouTube tutorials, I think that would be the greatest challenge I had, since it's not that easy to get clients. But once you get one client, I believe you will be able to get a lot after that. What I did was I never stopped applying for the jobs that were posted in Upwork. And if you think that you only have less skills or you only have a couple of skills, what you need to do is you really need to learn a new skill set in order for you to find more jobs, to make your job searching wider.
When I was just starting, I was like doing a double shift just to figure out how the business works. How can I make my work better? Because I cannot say internet. My connection is very good. I cannot say electricity because it's very seldom here in Makati that the electricity is shutting down. I think the task itself, if you are just new with that task, that's the challenge there. But if you will ask me about the internet connection, the electricity, no, it's not a challenge at all. Communicating, I don't think so, because my client is always giving instruction. We have a meeting every Friday, and then we have Slack for communications. I don't think that it's really a challenge for me. It's just the task itself when it's a new task. But as you go along, you will know how to manage your task. You will know how to make it easier.
The biggest challenge that I experienced as a VA was my first virtual assistant job in a agency. The agency wasn't able to provide a proper training. It's just a 1 week, but it's just a basic training, basic knowledge about the tools like Canva or the how to make a call card for your client, something like that. I know those basic things and it's very easy to do, but they were not able to provide a proper training, like 1 month training on how you will able to reach out to your client or how you will be able to finish the task or what your client needs. So when I got hired, there's a lot of things that she wants me to do, and then she wants me to finish those tasks within the day. So since I wasn't provided a proper training, I learned from myself. I learned through watching YouTube videos and just by navigating the tools. For example, I encountered navigating the Wix webpage. I was navigating that, and just by navigating, I learned all the tools where I will need to edit the page of my client or change the photo of my client, something like that, and also posting in a Pinterest. All of that was just from a YouTube channel. My client wasn't able also to provide me a proper training with that. So that's one of my challenge working as a virtual assistant.